So to me, the most important part of climate crisis or climate emergency is the two words that follow. So it's crisis and emergency.
Actually quite shocking that the words come to this.
I don't even think I'd call it climate change, I think I'd call it climate crisis, because actually it's not just change anymore, it's a global emergency.
It means that the weather is changing for us and it's impacting us socially and environmentally.
These are the views of young people in England on climate change. Change is happening for real, and this brings us to a question: what will be the future of planet Earth? After scientists set an alarm of climate emergency, it united the globe with a solitary concern. Many ignored the alarm, but it caught the youth's attention, who are protesting for quick action on the issue before it gets worse. Most media highlighted the global youth strikes, while there are young minds who are also taking countless tiny steps in a hope to see a change. A mass lobby was organised in London, where thousands of people across the country came down to Westminster. The purpose was to get the UK climate change emission back on track. Just like many, two young adults from Shrewsbury also met their MP with the hope that he will understand the importance on the issue and how the people are affected by climate change.
I wish I could say that it was positive, but it didn't come across that way. He was very mindful of the economy. He's reiterated that that was his number one priority, and failed to commit to any actions to mitigate the climate crisis because, he was worried about money. Will not exist on a dead planet, and so we tried to emphasise that to him. It was hard to get that across to him, and it didn't really feel like he was listening to us.
Nothing more important than the economy, because everything stems from the strength of the economy. Everything.
It was also quite demoralising because it felt like our issues weren't being heard. We can't actually vote, so going to an event like today where we can actually speak with our MP is one of the only ways we've got of getting our voice heard.
A high school climate activist from Coventry is a self-motivated plastic picker. Paddling was her first cleanup experience, and she found it exciting to try something different.
We've done some along the water before, but never on it, so that was different. Yeah, it was quite fun as well, and also it's annoying when you do it alongside the water, you can't obviously go in.
She is active in various local groups that organize litter and plastic cleanup sessions. Paddling ended up into a learning lesson after she found the kind of litter is stored in the water.
It was mainly a lot of little pieces of plastic, little packaging, some cans, bottles, and a lot of the small pieces, which is really worst as well, because animals can eat it and stuff, whereas the bigger pieces they've still got to degrade and break down.
Jade is selflessly doing this for the future generation. She wants them to see the world she is living in today. For her, this is the time to act, and she wants to save the clean planet for the coming generation. She promises to keep continuing her plastic pickup activity and use less plastic until she feels the need to do so.
Increases the awareness of the issue and makes people realise that it's not just going to go away unless we do something about it. The more of us that do it, the more of an impact we're going to have, and better the planet will be, hopefully.
Youth Strike organizer from Nottingham is highly inspired by Greta Thunberg and her confidence. He took up the responsibility of organizing strikes 6 months ago and feels it is his duty to voice demands on behalf of the young people.
I think the reason I'm doing it is because it's now or never. If I stop now, and if we stop, the movement stops now and loses momentum, then we are really looking for nothing to change, but we want this massive radical climate action, and until we get it, we're going to continue doing these demonstrations.
There's no compromise for you! I'm rising! There's no compromise for you! I'm rising! There's no compromise for you!
I'm here because our future is not being taken care of, even though that's what the government says they're doing.
But just reading so much about all the reports coming out that we have 12 years left basically to try and halt climate change, and it's just so scary, thinking of what kind of future is she going to have.
19-year-old, who is also a member of the Extinction Rebellion, joined the Nottingham strike with a desire to bring in a change in the system and hopes to see positive results from the strike. Greta Thunberg, who protested outside the Swedish parliament, turned out to be an inspiration for the youth.
The individual activism of Greta Thunberg, who sat outside the Swedish parliament. She started off with one sign saying, this is a climate emergency. She took a strike from school every Friday for weeks and weeks and weeks, and that's where the youth strikes were born out of, the activism and the personal responsibility she felt she needed to take on climate change. And all props and all respect goes out to her because she's managed to bind together the young people and inspire them.
One of the oldest members of Derby Climate Coalition finds youth strikes provoking and inspiring. He has seen and been a part of many demonstrations, but he is witnessing youth strikes for the first time and believes them to play a unique role in the climate issue.
We've been reinvigorated by the school children. Greta Thunberg has been absolutely marvellous, and the school children are so simple and so clear. Just say, this is our future, the house is burning, you have to do something. And when a school child goes on strike, it's fantastically exciting because they will have discussions with their parents, they'll have discussions with their school children. To actually go on strike at a young age is a very, very big step.
Social media plays a principal role in informing activists about strikes and meetings. Different cities have their respective Facebook pages for all the updates. #YouthStrikeForClimate is a common hashtag used for people to look for details about strikes across the globe. There is no stop for climate strikes for now, and many more are planned for the future.
This is out of desperation. I always say that talking time is over. The way you're seeing the youth strikes going is going to get more and more into the areas of non-violent direct action.
It is right to say the parent is the child's first teacher. 2 young sisters from East League learned about climate change from their mother. Since then, they are on a mission to keep the village clean and practice litter picking during their evening walks.
It's about a year ago our first litter picking session was because we've been going to these tidy team things with mum around the village, and then they told us about the litter picking and that we could do it on our own. Since we've just been trying to do it as much as we could. We've just gone around the village in different places that we feel need to be litter picked.
Every time picking up the mess does bring them to a question: why do people have to litter around? It gets annoying, but the mother keeps motivating the sisters and remind them how beautiful it is to see everything clean and tidy. Having young children and asking them to be a part of a social cause instead of spending time in the park is a tedious job, but not for their mother, who came up with a clever idea to get their daughters into litter picking.
Just introduced it a few years ago. You could go pick some rubbish and as part of a community litter pick, but then you'd get a cake as well. It was sort of a bit of a treat, a little bit of bribery, but then now they probably question, well, why do we have to litter pick more, because why do people leave rubbish behind? I know the kids certainly find it frustrating when they see rubbish. As I've said, they just enjoy. We've made it part of our normal life to go and do it.
The sisters wish everyone realizes the need to fight climate change. People are aware that there is less time to save the planet from getting worse, but why the youth is the only generation dynamic towards climate action?
Because nobody else will do it. They're trying to prove a point that the world is changing and the world won't last forever, that we need to change. And I think children make more of a point. It's quite powerful.
Climate change is one of the most pressing challenges the world is facing. After the IPCC reports were out on climate change, the young people are raising their voices in different ways in fear that the temperatures of the planet might rise too high for people to survive. They want to remind the government that time is ticking and now is the time to act. The Time Is Now mass lobby was organised by the Climate Coalition and Greener UK, designed to press for urgent action on climate change. The lobby was built as an opportunity for campaigners and activists to meet their local MP outside Parliament.
I mean, I've actually been getting quite emotional. It's been so fantastic seeing so many people and MPs just standing, you know, side by side, one another. There's no difference between the MP and their constituents. So it's been fantastic to kind of see that. And in terms of age, again, it's been absolutely fantastic because we have the school zones. We've had kids from primary schools coming down to talk to see their MPs and who actually care. And it's so fantastic to see people that young caring about climate change. And we've also seen people on the complete other side of that bracket, people in their 60s, 70s, 80s, who also see it as just an important issue. So it's been absolutely fantastic for such a wide array of people come together.
Out of 200, 193 MPs attended the mass lobby that came down with different views on climate change and the need for action. England needs to bring the greenhouse gas emission to net zero latest by 2050 to fight climate change, and with MPs giving positivity, change still stands a chance.
It's really important that we understand the scale of the problem when it comes to climate change, and I'm really pleased that one of my constituents came down from Batley and Spen to add her voice to the many from Yorkshire and Humber. I think certainly it will reinforce our position that we are anti-fracking. It will also reinforce our position that we know that there is a climate change emergency. Certainly it will give us greater resolve when we say that we're actually 2050 for zero carbon emissions might be too far away. And I think we really need to put this at the top of our agenda going forward.
Young people's involvement in climate action leads to a simple goal: clean air to breathe, clean water to drink, clean environment to live in today and tomorrow.